for this. So let's get it on as mOOnGLaDe looking very, very focused here. Moving on into game number 3. As spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner, we will have our blue Zerg guys playing phenomenally. Give it up for mOOnGLaDe.
And up in the top right, an excellent defensive player. Can he pull it off and cinch the series 2-1? It's Rock's Kisses Slivko.
So, if there were any map to really see a hatchery first from ZVZ, this would be the one, really. You see a lot of hatchery first on this map. It's very, very easy to be able to get that going because of how far the rush distances are, because of the fact that the only real little poking aggression that can occur that early on is slow speed Zerglings, and they don't traverse the map all too well here.
Yeah, again, I think that given Slivko's patterns, he's going to want to go pool first, but I think that's such a mistake on this map, unless you want to do something like an 8 pool or something really crazy. mOOnGLaDe advancing forward, and again, Slivko goes for this super hyper defensive pool first build. And you know, I've been talking a lot about getting earlier injects and the earlier 2 queens, but I think the biggest deficit of this opening from Slivko is that there's almost one way that you can play it off. So it makes it completely transparent of how to respond.
Yeah, and I mean, Slivko now is going to be able to go for his hatchery, but again, with that extra like 30, 40 seconds here for mOOnGLaDe, that means he's going to have 1 extra round of lava on that natural. And when lava is such an important commodity in this matchup, more so than ZVP and ZVT, it's really, really, really adamant that that kind of just small difference early on can make a very big difference, not only going into the later stages if you want to actually pump out like an extra 4 drones, for example, but if you want to get aggressive and have an extra 8 lings out when numbers are very, very small early on, and that portion being 8 lings can be literally, I don't know, 40% of an army.
Yeah, and I mean, we even saw Nesty do that exact exploit in Zerg vs. Zerg yesterday, where he was literally doing this build that mOOnGLaDe did, and then he rallied back 24 Zerglings and then sprinted forward, and his opponent didn't even have any answer at all. mOOnGLaDe having those 2 overlords in an excellent position to see any Zerglings coming out the front or out the back entrance. So Slivko, again, just does not really have that many options. He'll probably just be throwing down the Baneling Nest first if he's feeling super defensive. He'll be throwing down speed more commonly, but already mOOnGLaDe is ahead in that upgrade. He immediately went for gas before even starting the spawning pool, so that way he could be able to do this transition follow-up. And by leaving those guys in gas, mOOnGLaDe's essentially declaring that he does want to go for some sort of Baneling play.
Yeah, and he's going to have around a 25, 30-second window here where he's going to be able to exploit with speed as well. It's a very, very small window, but again, ZVZ is very, very methodical, very about those small little advantages that you can gain. Hell, every single mirror matchup is really about those small little advantages you can gain. But the speed increment change from having speed to not having speed is so brutal to deal with if you're not prepared for it.
Yeah, I mean, most basically, you just can't move out at all because you'll just be taken out if your opponent has speed. If you misjudge that Zergling count just once, and this is what makes people, or I guess I should say, is what made people think, oh, Zerg vs. Zerg, such a luck-based matchup. I move out and he has speed and I just get killed. If I move out and he doesn't have speed, then I'll be able to win. But in a sense, players are starting to realize, you know, you just have to be defensive at this early part in the game. You absolutely must be as defensive as possible, get those Banelings up, and if you want to do aggression, you have to get the speed out. You have to get the Overlord positioning into a good spot.
Yeah, and for now, how many units does mOOnGLaDe actually have out on the map? He only has the 4 Zerglings. He's adding on 1 or 2 more, droning up behind this. 38 drones right now for Slivko to the 32 drones for mOOnGLaDe. But, you know, again, this is all harks back to the defensive posture that Slivko actually put himself in from the very, very beginning. He gets that little bit of an advantage, actually with a 10-drone advantage right now. How is mOOnGLaDe going to be able to kind of punish or catch up?
It looks like mOOnGLaDe's answer is to go for this insta layer, but he's also getting Roach Warren and a +1 upgrade. And wow, mOOnGLaDe actually getting all 4 gas geysers. That's quite uncommon to see out of a player who wants to be going Roaches. Slivko's doing a little bit more of a typical play. Playing very defensively. In the unit count, we see that neither player really has done much, but mOOnGLaDe really getting that nice fortune of hopping up into the main base. I'm a curious as how Slivko got so damn far ahead in that drone count.
I don't know myself. There's some mysteries revolving around ZVZ sometimes where, you know, it's just one or two lava injects maybe have been missed by mOOnGLaDe. I haven't been keeping a full eye on what's gone on there, but that is something that could contribute to that slight disparity. Now, one small thing as well that we're seeing from Slivko here is that he's actually morphing his natural into the layer, and that just gives it a little bit extra hit points to be able to bear the brunt of any kind of aggression that would come along. It's a very, very small, minor thing, and if you do lose it, well, I mean, if you were going to lose your natural anyway, it's pretty much game over at that point, right? So you may as well give it that extra little bit of tank to be able to keep it alive that bit longer.
Oh, I really like this play right now from mOOnGLaDe. He sees his opponent, has thrown down a hatchery here, and he has a 50-second lead in speed. Wait, this is a wild play out of Slivko.
Oh.
He's going straight for the Hydralisk Den. He is just accepting fully that he's not going to have the speed and time. Here we see the delayed third from mOOnGLaDe, but with this early macro hatch, mOOnGLaDe is just going to be rallying all his roaches back, and he's going to do a massive speed timing push, and I don't think it's going to turn out very well for Slivko.
Yeah, mOOnGLaDe playing that very standard caliber of ZVZ on Daybreak, trying to find a way into poke and try and deny that third. Wasn't really able to do though, so again, we mentioned earlier Slivko's very, very defensive posture, and he was able to save his hatchery from having just around 100 hit points kind of taken away from it. That shows that he is so on the ball, knows exactly where his opponent is going to be moving at any given point in time with his overlord positioning, and able to really kind of save that very, very early on.
mOOnGLaDe still has not elected to move out yet. He's been nailing the injects in his home, has pretty much nothing on any of those queens. And now we see Slivko getting a little confused. He's building spore crawlers. He hasn't actually scouted.
And interestingly enough, it's very, very odd that once again, we have 64 drones to the 43 infestors here. So, sorry, 43 infestors, good God. 43 drones here. So, such massive disparities between these two players.
Wow.
Slivko.
mOOnGLaDe with an excellent read, seeing his opponent going Hydra Baneling, building a lot of Banelings of his own, and mOOnGLaDe about to just leap into action with a huge timing push. His +1 is done. Slivko is going to be in a tough spot.
Yeah, very much so. Those roaches trying to create themselves a very, very nice concave, and indeed they do. The hatchery providing Slivko with a little bit of a bad position, and massive baneling hits rain down on the army here of Slivko. mOOnGLaDe looking to demolish the army here of Slivko.
Oh, mOOnGLaDe with a brilliant timing push. The mass blast of Banelings, the last thing you'd expect when you're going for this early expand. And now Slivko with the slow roaches cannot withstand this force from mOOnGLaDe. mOOnGLaDe, the Aussie who originally made a huge name for himself in Korea and IEM, doing it again here in 2012.
mOOnGLaDe, he's done quite a bit of damage here. Admittedly, he will be pushed back for now, but those Hydralisks do not come cheap here when you're actually just going up against Roach Bane. He's going to lose a few more roaches there as well, but actually poked in at the front, trying to pick off that hatchery once again with a second force of roaches, and we'll have to fall back here. But again, actually, if he doesn't do damage at this point, Slivko's economy is way above mOOnGLaDe's here. I'm a little bit worried for him.
Wait, Slivko may have amazingly stabilized here. We have some roaches running into the main base, a nice little maneuver from mOOnGLaDe, but he's not actually getting that far ahead. He's just equalizing. He must build some drones if he actually wants to get an edge here. He's still way underneath his opponent. 60 drones out for Slivko, 43 for mOOnGLaDe. Slivko, I thought, was dead for sure, but mOOnGLaDe should have pulled back and finished his hatch when he had the chance.
Yeah, well, he's going to try and dive in there now to get it, and indeed he will do. He might lose one or two roaches in the process, but that is a very nice pick off. Slivko trying to move a few of those roaches around to be able to get a little bit of damage off there whilst the retreat does occur here from mOOnGLaDe, but he gets out lickety-split, and for now Slivko having to fall back to the potentials of an infestation pit.
mOOnGLaDe is at 2-0 attack upgrades, but this is something that we've seen throughout mOOnGLaDe's games at IEM. He devotes everything to these attacks, but when they wrap up, he just doesn't really have anything to stand on. Yeah. He's committing himself to having to win in these battles.
Yeah, and I mean, getting that third is a win in itself, but actually that's a lot of roaches from Slivko here. And with that infestation pit going down, pathogen glands now being researched, once Slivko is able to get up a few infestors, and if mOOnGLaDe doesn't actually establish himself a little bit of a base economy or a stronger army than just this, he is going to be in Frowntown, I'm going to say.
Looks like mOOnGLaDe's decided that he's actually behind. mOOnGLaDe is likely going to be going for this attack with a little split running up into the main again. In the income tab, we see that it's a little bit still favoring Slivko because he's long-range mining, but not by a tremendous amount. And here he is rushing up. He's going to pick off this queen and pick off the queen and roach. A good angle for mOOnGLaDe, but with a spine crawler there, mOOnGLaDe is going to be forced to retreat. mOOnGLaDe must pull back and get into a better position. He is just sacrificing a lot of roaches here for nothing. What is mOOnGLaDe doing? He has to be really careful here. He's again going to go for the third, and there's the transfuse, and he takes it down.
Now he needs to retreat as quickly as possible here. He needs to save so many of these roaches. He still has a few more roaches reinforcing here. Slivko for now on the hot pursuit of this army and unit counting station. We have 33 roaches to the 32 roaches, but there are a few Hydralisks out here for Slivko. But again, he has that infestation pit down with pathogen glands finished up. So once these infestors come out for Slivko, mOOnGLaDe still is stuck on this tech, not really saturating his third, and it's a bit odd from here.
mOOnGLaDe, just if he builds an infestation pit, this is going to just tip so much into his favor. My concern, though, for Slivko's point of view is, does Slivko realize that he's not actually in a bad spot? Can Slivko look at the situation and say, oh yeah, I'm fine? He's sacrificed way too many roaches trying to kill off my third. He's doing it again and again and again and again. I just need to continue to defend, and I'll slowly get the lead. Once these infestors pop out, as you say, that's what's going to lock down this pushing.
That's really an astute read, because Slivko doesn't have any information about his opponent's third whatsoever, so he hasn't scouted out for quite a while at this point. He poked in at the front, but really didn't see too much, and look at this.
Wow, and the infestors instantly do a great snatch on those roaches. mOOnGLaDe is going to lose these for really not that much at all, and mOOnGLaDe has to recognize, and that suddenly triggers him into going, oh my god, I better get some drones up. Oh, another gigantic fungal. mOOnGLaDe is engaging at a terrible angle. What is mOOnGLaDe doing? He's decided that his roach count is high enough? No. He's realizing what a mistake he's made. He's going to have to pull back yet again. What angle does he go along? He has almost no retreat paths, and in that unit loss tab, we're starting to see the story told.
Slivko just had a far superior concave in that engagement. mOOnGLaDe had to really compromise there and just have to fall back, mitigating a little bit of his losses by ending up saving some of those, taking a few losses on the retreat as well. But right now, still, Slivko so far ahead in terms of the supply, ahead in drone count, ahead in tech with 6 infestors out now to be able to continue laying down those fungal growths. And once they gather up a little bit of energy, mOOnGLaDe is going to be in such trouble. Once again, he's been in trouble for such a long time, but again, Slivko has not had the intel to be able to really fully realize that at this point in the game.
Slivko is actually ahead of mOOnGLaDe in pretty much every regard. More roaches, more hydras, more infestors. Now we're seeing mOOnGLaDe go for a counterattack again, but he's going to run right into a pack of units. He's just going to start doing the ring around the rosy play, trying to pull back Slivko every which way.
Yeah, I don't know if it's really going to be able to work. The reinforcement roaches from Slivko did pop to be able to take out that small little pack that were trying to do some damage there and trying to pull him back. But now, look how many roaches are moving into this middle of this map. We have 54 roaches right now to the 39 of mOOnGLaDe. I don't even need to mention the infestors at that point to say that Slivko has a very, very nice lead here.
But we are seeing a lot of hydras popping out soon for mOOnGLaDe. mOOnGLaDe's going to have to bank everything on this attack. It's going to have to be a perfect arc, but the infestors now stepping in, throwing down some of those infested Terrans. mOOnGLaDe does have an incredible arc, but there the fungal growths are going to tell the whole tale. Slivko, who lived through an insane timing push at the start of the game, through relentless aggression, now doing the first major attack of the game, and it is more than enough to break down the third. The entire army of mOOnGLaDe evaporates, and Slivko, mOOnGLaDe admitting a huge blunder.
And this game, more so than game number 1 and 2, stand a testament to the way in which Slivko plays ZVZ. We said initially, he is able to go for that defensive posture, able to really kind of deal with anything his opponent is going to throw at him. Once that wave comes from mOOnGLaDe, it was, as you rightly said, a very, very strong timing push there. But Slivko